Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and what a way to end week one for the San Francisco 49ers. They win 17-13 against the Seattle Seahawks, and it came down to the wire. The very last play for the offense, back of the end zone. Brock Purdy finds Jake Tonges for the defense. Nick Bosa secures the win with the strip sack of Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold. And those two plays kind of sum up how crazy this game was for both teams. There was so much happening. We're going to dive into Brock Purdy's late game heroics, Ricky Pearsall's breakout, the return of Christian McCaffrey, Robert Saleh's defense, and public enemy number one, Jake Moody continues to be a problem on this team. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Getting into all of that today, because let's celebrate first. The San Francisco 49ers are 1-0 to begin the 2025 season in a game that last year, this team probably does not win. If this was 2024, this team loses this game 20-17 or even worse. This is a game last year, this roster, this coaching staff, albeit there are some new pieces in place like Brant Boyer and Robert Saleh, they do not overcome the mistakes they make on offense, defense, and especially on special teams. And while there is so much they have to clean up after even getting a win in week one, there's also so much to love how this team fought, the grit they showed, and the ability to make the right play at the right time. But let's celebrate first. The San Francisco 49ers have won. They have won their fourth consecutive game at Lumen Field. Brock Purdy is 4-0 against the Seahawks in Seattle. The Lumen Field is no longer a place, a house of horrors, a black hole for San Francisco. They got over the hump a couple years ago in 2019, and really since then, it has not been a big fear of Niner fans and the team itself. They have proven they can win there in a game like this that shouldn't have been as close as it was. There is still reasons to celebrate. Pop some bottles, pop some champagne. A good win for San Francisco. And I'll say this. It was an ugly win. That's for sure. Again, it's a game that there's a lot of errors to clean up and fix. You're not going to erase the stain of 2024 overnight. It's not going to take one off season, a somewhat defensive overhaul, a new regime coming in, not John and Kyle, but defensive regime and special teams coordinator. The whole staff is new out there in San Francisco to help fix what happened last year, undo the wrongs that were done last year. However, the way this team played today, Robert Saleh, my friend, welcome back. Thank you for coming back, because you saved this game for San Francisco. His defense was phenomenal almost throughout the entirety of the game. In fact, some of the issues that happened on defense were things that you can control. Some penalties, some grabbing from a rookie Upton Stout, who wasn't great today, but again, his first game ever, didn't play in the entire preseason. There were some blips, along the way, but overall, this defense looked phenomenal. They looked like last year wasn't even a thing. They were getting some pressure. Again, there's things to desire more of, but the run defense, 3.2 yards per carry allowed on the ground. If this was last year's defense, that's a 5-yard per carry team. Seattle wins this game handily. So good on Robert Saleh's defense. I thought Clea Davis was tremendous today. Dee Winters was off the charts. Fred Warner had an injury scare early in the game, came back bloody nose and all. He was tremendous. I thought the secondary was awesome. There was a couple of big plays here or there, but Marquese Sigle in his debut, fumble recovery, a big one, I may add. They didn't get beat over the top a lot. I thought Jason Pinnock was good. Renardo Green was also good. The worst play gave up, he had great coverage on. He had a great PBU to rip the ball out of JSN's hand. I thought it was a great day for San Francisco's defense overall. I thought Robert Saleh saved this game from how piss poor the offense played throughout the entirety of the outcome. I thought that Upton Stout, Lenore, like there were so many defensive highlights. Samuel Kawanu forcing the fumble, Nick Bosa strip sack on Sam Darnold. There was like this defense deserves all the praise it possibly could get. They held the Seahawks offense in check, which we didn't really know what we were going to get from the Seahawks offense. You know, Kubiak's in charge now out there in Seattle, and Sam Darnold, who is he going to be? And again, there are some questions about, you know, who Seattle is offensively in their mindset, but you knew they wanted to run the football. They were going to try to get vertical on you in the passing game, and San Francisco overwhelmingly, I thought, held them at bay. 13 points allowed. You can tell any team in the NFL, try holding your opponent to 13 points. It's a hard thing to do, especially on the road, which faithful out there, good on you. 53%, I believe, of the crowd at Lumen Field where the 12th man reigns was red and gold. It was Niner faithful out there. There was some times where the sound was a problem, a false start for Colton McKivitz and whatnot, but this was a nail-biting, gut-wrenching fight to the finish that this defense held on for dear life, played bend, don't break. Every step of the way, they were awesome. Got takeaways at the right time. San Francisco's defense couldn't buy a takeaway last year, and they got two in this game. It was awesome for how they played. It was awesome for the secondary. Two rookies starting in your secondary. Not a single deep ball given up outside of a 41-yard reception that was towards the sideline. And it was an excellent catch. It wasn't like you were getting gashed defensively. They came to play. They had a statement to make. They wanted to tell the entire world, hey, we're back in a big way. And today was that. Were they beating Lamar Jackson? No. Was it Josh Allen? No. But division games are always tough. They're always close. And this Seahawks team is probably going to be a team that is at least in the running or is expected to be in the running for the NFC West or a wild card when it's all said and done. So good on San Francisco's defense. I thought they were tremendous today. Nick Bosa was good. Just an overall complete, and dare I say somewhat domination from San Francisco's defense. Diving into the stats today, Sam Darnold, 150 yards through the air. He was sacked once, had a 56.2 QBR, did not have a passing touchdown all day. Outside of 14 yards from Sam Darnold and 1 yard by Jalen Milroe and a random kind of tight end tush push by AJ Barner, gave up in 24 carries, just 67 yards and one touchdown, under 3.2 yards on the ground per carry. Was a great day. Cooper Kupp was basically a non-factor. Elijah Arroyo, one of their high-end draft picks this year, was a non-factor. Kenneth Walker was a big non-factor for them. It really was Darnold and JSN gashing San Francisco. But even then, you know, for how JSN's stat line comes out, 9 receptions, 124 yards, and a 40-yard reception, those are empty calories for an offense that only put up 13 points in front of their home crowd. So really, it was a great day from San Francisco's offense. I thought it was just tremendous, just a tremendous day from San Francisco's offense, or defense, excuse me, not the offense. My God, not the offense. But Robert Saleh, thank you for coming back to San Francisco. Imagine this game, but Nick Sorensen. Yikes! But that is a lot of praise for Robert Saleh's return because it's every bit deserving of it. That said, there was some cause for concern for the San Francisco 49ers, and I think this is the time, about 10 minutes in on the podcast, to open up the book on Jake Moody. Can we please stop playing this game? Can we please stop letting him go out there and just seeing if he makes kicks? Like, Jake Moody has to prove to us, the team, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, that he's a good kicker. Jake Moody, outside of his rookie season, which was a fine beginning to his career, has been utterly terrible. He was terrible last year. The worst kicker statistically in the sport. And in his first kick this year, after a relatively nice preseason in which he quote unquote beat out Greg Joseph for a competition, misses the first field goal attempt. Immediately, nope, done, not doing it. We can't play this game. It's gone too far. This is the end. We cannot go into this year with this. Like, had Jake made the kick, okay, here's a second chance later in the game. No, he misses the first kick. The next kick is blocked, and it's like, I know that isn't Jake's fault per se. Matt Hennessy had a wide stance. He had 3 Seahawks on him. He got bulldozed over. Don't love that. You're hoping Brant Boyer fixes that in the meetings on Monday, but enough's enough. I know Kyle Shanahan in his post-game press conference said that, well, this is how I feel now. Jake will be back, blah, blah, blah. That plane ride for Kyle Shanahan better be his road to Damascus. I know there's no donkeys on the airplane, but my God, you better pray somebody has a spiritual awakening on that airplane back to San Francisco, back to San Jose, wherever they're going to land at when they come back in the Bay Area, because my goodness, enough's enough. We have spoken here a lot. The fan base has been saying the same thing. It's going to have to come to Jake Moody costing them a game until, or at that point, then they'll say, okay, we're done. He almost cost you a game today. Now, to his credit, he made a field goal late in the game. However, if you make the field goal early, you're only down by 1 point, and Kyle Shanahan, very much, even if he doesn't want to admit it, and he didn't want to do it in his post-practice or post-game press conference, he lies a lot. He's a liar. He was like, well, if it was 4th and 4, 4th and 5 on a lot of fourth downs in the second half, as San Francisco's offense was driving to score some points, they kept Jake Moody off the field. And he said, if it was 4th and longer, I would have put Jake out there. You liar. Don't lie. Why are you coping for him? I'm sorry. You would not let a starting offensive lineman be this bad and still start them. You have benched rookie wide receivers for less. You traded away a quarterback for less. You hated Jimmy Garoppolo, and you were winning games with him, and you love Jake Moody more. You give him a longer leash, an opportunity. I get it. Sticking your neck out for a quarterback to get your guy, yeah, sure, be stubborn. Be stubborn with that guy. That's the one you handpicked. And look, you handpicked Jake Moody too, but you fired the coordinator that picked him. What is the tie here? Like, it's an embarrassment from the fan base perspective, from the national media perspective. The NFL is laughing at you, Kyle. They're laughing at you, John. They know what the outcome will be. Whenever Jake Moody walks out there, you know what you think? Oh, here's a miss. Oh, another miss. Oh, another miss. Nobody has confidence in Jake Moody. And I don't understand why. And we'll never understand why, because it doesn't make logical sense as to why Kyle Shanahan keeps keeping him on the roster, keeps trotting him out there and saying, next week, we believe in Jake. We believe in Jake. Why? The Buffalo Bills, in an insane comeback in Sunday Night Football, where their kicker was put on IR yesterday on Saturday, signed a 40-year-old Matt Prater on the street. And guess what he did? He nailed almost every kick in that game and got the game-winning field goal for you. He's 40 years old off the street, and I get it. He's a veteran, been around for a long time. The point is, you can find guys on the street that can make 36-yard field goals. Greg Joseph, on line 1, please. You don't have to be prime Justin Tucker. You don't have to be prime David Akers. Just give me a guy I don't fear for my life and my team's prosperity, and he's walking out there to kick a field goal. Even they cut to Kyle on the big board, on the broadcast, him cursing and yelling after Jake misses the first kick. At that point, how do you not mentally check out and say enough's enough? Enough is a freaking enough with this bozo, this brain-dead buffoon of a kicker. And I hate being so mean on the kid. I like Jake Moody. But enough is enough. The margin for error is so thin. You saw it today. It took a heroic late game, what they're calling the catch 2025, via your third string tight end because Kittle gets hurt and Farrell can barely catch the football. Jake Tonges and Brock Purdy saying, "We ain't got a second opportunity. Here you go." And him catching it in the back of the end zone, and still it took a Nick Bosa strip sack almost on your goal line to win this game. I'm not saying Jake Moody is the reason they win, the reason they lose. I'm just saying that you cannot put him out there when the margin for error is this thin, when you don't have Brandon Ayuk, when you don't have DeMarcus Robinson, when Jennings gets hurt, when Kittle gets hurt, and both those guys are going for MRIs. They can be out for a long time for all we know. Kittle was ruled out in seconds of being off the football field. He was no pads on, no jersey on the entire second half. They said Juwan Jennings couldn't lift his shoulder up on the sideline, hit a brace on after they cut him on the bench. Like you cannot put Jake Moody out there knowing you have a razor thin margin for error. And a lot of games this year are going to come down to field goals or kickoffs or special teams. I get it. You feel like Jake's the best option. I'm sorry. If you cut Jake Moody, as you should, and the next guy you sign isn't good either, then guess what? You're in the same spot you are now with a no good for nothing kicker that can't make field goals consistently. Like, you're in a place where you have the worst kicker in the entire league. Ask any other team. You know what they'd do if the kicker was like Jake Moody, who I believe is 11 for 20 in his last 20 kicks? They'd cut him right now. I don't want to, kind of harp on this for a long time, but 5 minutes is enough. Jake Moody has to go. This is it. He almost cost you a game. Do not let it get to he did cost you a game. Enough is enough. Cut him. Release him. Greg Joseph is out there. He was in your building this year. Bring him in. What harm is it going to cause? None. Anyways, special teams was also, once again, terrible. Jair Brown doesn't start for San Francisco, and rightfully so. It was a great call. I was worried about that. Young defensive backs, week one, JSN, Seahawks, Sam Darnold, they're going to want to take shots downfield. They survived. It was awesome to watch. The defense was tremendous. However, you have Sky Moore muffing punts, just one, but that's enough to make you worry. You acquired him via trade of a 6th-round pick, mind you, which isn't a lot, but it's something. And he muffs a punt on his first opportunity. He recovers it, but still, that's a concern. Junior Burgeon, stay ready, brother. Then you have Jair Brown, who's getting called for holding penalties on punts, costing you 10 yards. It took 4 drives for San Francisco's offense because of special teams to start a drive outside of their own 15-yard line in this game. Like that can't happen. Like really? Saran Neal, a guy you brought in to be a special teamer, runs out of bounds willingly and gets called for a penalty. Hey, you can't do that. You can't do that at all. You have a blocked field goal. You have a missed field goal. Like, erasing the stain, the stench of last year's special teams group isn't going to happen in one off season. Brant Boyer will need time, like a new OC would, like a new DC would. It's going to take time for Boyer to fix things. However, special teams, you saw it today. You saw it with the Bills game tonight against the Ravens. It matters in the NFL. We've seen it in San Francisco for a long time. It's cost this team too many games. And I know Kyle doesn't care about it, but at what point do you start caring? You should have cared last year. Did you hire Brant Boyer because you cared, or because you believed he can be in his own corner and you wouldn't have to worry about it? The latter seems more true in the former, but special teams, not great. Jake Moody, bad opening kickoff in the end zone for a touchback, which Kickers will adjust to that as it's gone on, so I don't fault Jake for that. He had better ones late in the game. It's just inconsistencies there, and it really almost condemned you to a loss. But enough of the special teams. I do want to give some praise. I want to herald the return. If I can, like the Silver Surfer for Galactus, I herald your beginning. I herald your end. I herald the return of Christian McCaffrey. How great was it to watch CMC out there where we got scared on Thursday? Is he going to play? How's the calf? We were all on the edge of our seats Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, at some point this morning on Sunday, sitting back like, is Christian McCaffrey going to play? Here we go again. Almost every comment on the YouTube channel, on the Instagram, on the TikTok, on the Twitter, of every update we made was, he's going to get hurt in the first play. Oh, here we go. 2024 all over again. Deja vu. Here we go. Nobody thought he was going to make it to this morning. At least the nonsensical fans did not. Even I was worried as to, I don't know if he's going to play. What's going on? And I think every fan was right to question, like, what's going on with Christian McCaffrey? Why does nobody seem to have an actual answer? Is he hurt? Is he healthy? Is it a tweak? Is it a cramp? What's going on with our star running back? And thankfully, Christian McCaffrey was awesome today. The ground game wasn't working because the offensive line was utter dog crap. This offensive line sucked today. Terrible. Besides that point, though, Christian McCaffrey comes back 31 touches. Did you think Christian McCaffrey was going to get 31 touches in this game? I thought it'd be a lot if he was healthy. But 31 touches. I have the stats here. 69 yards on the ground, 22 carries, 73 yards through the air, over, 142 total yards. No touchdowns, but he was a major factor in this game to a point where after Brock Purdy's, I believe, second interception, Kyle just said, we're not passing the football. Here's Christian McCaffrey. And it was run CMC, run CMC, run CMC. It was like a freaking choo-choo train of Christian McCaffrey. Just chugga, 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 CMC, 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 CMC. He was pounding him into the ground. And thankfully, CMC came out healthy. So many pivotal first downs for him to extend drives, to keep drives alive. It's his first game back. I don't think he looks as spry as he will, but for him to make it out healthy, like every hit, I was like, is he getting up? Why is he still down? Is he grimacing? Like, I was on the edge of my seat wondering, is he going to survive the next play? And he did. And it was awesome to see. They needed him so bad in this game, especially once JJ and Kittle got hurt. He was by far the offense. Obviously, Purdy and Pearsall played a part too, but Christian McCaffrey, so glad to have you back. Like, I don't know how many more days of this we get because the calf and the Achilles do still lend to further lingering questions, but it was good to see, man. Having number 23 out there in the backfield, it changes everything for this offense. It gives Purdy comfortability as a quarterback to take checkdowns, which was a problem once again in this game for him. But just to have him out there, 22 carries in his first game back and then 9 receptions on 10 targets. Enough cannot be said about how good CMC looked today. Obviously, you want touchdowns and you want the explosive runs. I don't think that was his fault. I think the offensive line couldn't open up a lane for a field mouse today. This offensive line, and I know that you know, that I know, that I've said, that you've said, this offensive line, they have neglected it for so long. Pooney, besides Pooney, 1 third-round pick last year, they have not addressed any part of the offensive line to a point where your backups at guard when Pooney went down were a 7th round pick and a UDFA, which that doesn't mean those guys are going to suck. It just doesn't give you much confidence they can be good. Your backup tackles. This team had, and then this is crazy here. Inactives don't always matter much. However, this team today had one active backup tackle, Spencer Burford. And Burford's fine. He's not great. He's not terrible. He's fine. But one backup tackle? Is that not concerning for anybody else? Where Trent got rolled up on in this game, where he's like flailing like, my back, my ankle. And my heart dropped. I was like, oh my God, Trent rolled up on. Is it broken? Is it sprained? Is he okay? And thankfully he made it through. And we don't really know what the issue was. Even Kyle said, I don't know what happened. He just went back out there and played, which to me is just crazy to think your head coach isn't asking questions as to why his all-pro future Hall of Fame left tackle isn't going out there or is grimacing in pain. Kyle also said that he didn't even talk to Christian McCaffrey after he got quote-unquote hurt or had a flare-up on Thursday. Why are you not talking to your all-pro running back? What is happening? Like, you are in charge of these men. Why are you not wondering why they're not practicing or what happened? Why are you not asking questions? Like, where is your head at? I would want to know why dudes are hurt, aren't practicing, and or are grimacing in pain on the sideline during the game. I get it. Maybe you didn't see what happened, but that's why you ask. You don't call defensive plays. Hey, Trent, we just punted. Why are you off the sideline hurt? Are you okay? I need you. And to have your backup tackle only be Burford. What if McKivitz went down? What if Williams went down? What if they both went down and Burford has to come in? Does Connor Colby play right tackle in a pinch? Is it Pooney sliding out? I know it's like that didn't even happen, so why does it matter? But it could happen. Trent got rolled up on today. Anyways, Brendel, not great. How many times on screen passes, on runs, is he turned the opposite way of the place? He turned facing his quarterback and his running back. It happened too many times today. That dude sucks. Sucks so bad. This running game that is supposed to be the lifeblood of this offense. Shanahan wants to run the rock 40 times a game if he can. 35 is the magic number. He wants to be on the ground eating clock, just chewing away at the TOP for the opposing team while wearing down the opposing defense. And they did that in the first drive. I thought San Francisco's first drive was incredible. You get a big 3 and out to begin the game for your defense. Micah Williams gets some push. Bosa lit up Darnold on a big 3rd and 9. You got 2 blitzes and a stunt from linebackers. It was awesome. Awesome to see. But on the very first drive for San Francisco, they marched 95 yards on 14 plays, over 8 minutes off the clock, and we're sitting pretty like, ooh-wee, Kittle's on fire. Big touchdown connection with him and Purdy. Like, this is going to be easy. After that drive, in which this offense looked like it was a well-oiled machine, they're moving around, they're running around, they're running the football. Purdy looks like he's awesome. He's 6 for 7, 66 yards. Couple of big scrambles, hit Pearsall twice. Like, okay, here we go. Like, we know what this game is going to be like now, but no. That was an anomaly because this offensive line could not open a hole for anybody. The guards were turned around. I thought Luke Farrell was dog crap today as a blocker. There was some highlight plays for him later in the game, but overwhelmingly on like when he's the pull blocker running from right to left or left to right, he was missing safeties and linebackers. He wasn't getting in front of guys. McKivitz wasn't great. Pooney was average. And look, there is some context there. Like, Pooney has been hurt for 2 weeks, so I get it. Like, this is his first game back. However, this is the NFL. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna disagree. Like, yes, you're right. He was hurt, but I'm not gonna make an excuse of like, well, he came back. Like, no. This is the NFL. You have to make plays, and there's reasons why you don't make plays, but You have to make plays. Like, you have to. Trent wasn't great today. And there was a ton of people saying, well, he hasn't played in the entire preseason. Then play a drive in the preseason. I get it. You're 36 years old, 37 years old, bad ankles. The last thing you want to do is lose Trent in the preseason. However, what I don't want is a subpar Trent Williams in week 1 when games actually matter because you haven't played in the preseason. This offensive line was terrible. Terrible. They have to find somebody else to play center, to play left guard. They're going to have, this team needs to. In the future, I get it, you can't do it now. It's too late. In future drafts, this upcoming 2026 NFL draft, offensive line needs to be a priority. It has to be. You cannot win football games with your offensive line playing as bad as they did today. The run blocking was terrible. There was no pull blocking. You couldn't get guys in space. Tight ends weren't doing well. Bad. And the pass blocking. When your quarterback, who you're paying $53 million a year, has to be scrambling around left and right, avoiding pressure on 57% of his dropbacks. For context, Brock Purdy in this game had 35 passing attempts. So on, what is that? 35 divided by 2? On 17 to 18 passing snaps, he's, I guess, over that. 20 passing snaps, he's under pressure, under duress because you can't pass block for him. And I get it. We talked about it during the preview episode that the Seahawks defense brings unique blitzes, unique looks. They disguise things extremely well. I had no reason to believe that this Niners offensive line wasn't at some point going to be overwhelmed by this Seahawks defense. This is what the Seahawks defense does. It's like the Vikings defense. It's going to give you unique looks, disguise blitzes, play press coverage, and fake it, play 2 high safeties, play 3 safeties. They were stacking the box 8 guys deep. And I get it. You cannot, there's 5 of you, sometimes 6, if there's a tight end. You cannot block 8 guys. It's almost impossible. It literally is impossible. I can't blame you for that. But even when they rushed 4, when they rushed 5, you weren't picking up stunts. Your quarterback was hiking the football, and immediately guys are in front of his face on a constant basis. And it doesn't just erase what Purdy did today, because there was some problems. We'll get into those in a second, but this offensive line sucks. And I'm terrified for what comes next, because yes, Seattle's defense is better than, say, the Cardinals or the Saints and the Jaguars, but the Rams, who I think held the Texans, a team that is hoping to be a playoff contender, to 9 points today at SoFi Stadium. You have the Buccaneers defense. You have the Texans defense, who held the Rams to 14 points today in their own home field. It's not going to get easier, and if you want to be a contender for a playoff spot, you have to play Seattle again. You have the Rams twice. The Cardinals, who I think are better on defense this year than when they were last year, but still not great. Play them twice. And a hopeful playoff run, if you get there, you're going to play better defenses in this. And if you are a wild card team, you could play Philadelphia. You could play the Packers. You could play the Lions. You can play the Bears. You can play the Vikings. You can play Seattle. This offensive line, I get it. Look, the chemistry may not be there. None of these guys really played in the preseason. I get that. However, ball snap, guy front of me. I put my hands on him. He puts his hands on me. Oh no, I'm not good enough. Guy get by me. That is the baby version, but that's exactly what happened today over and over and over and over again. Yes, Seattle did blitz. Yes, there were some issues there. Hopefully, Chris Forrester can teach these dudes or show these guys in the film of hey, you got to do this better. Too many times, run plays blown up, passing plays blown up, Purdy running to find room to run or trying to extend plays because the offensive line isn't doing its job. Bad, terrible offensive line today. I would not be shocked if tomorrow morning, on Monday morning, when this podcast comes out, if PFF doesn't have San Francisco's offensive line ranked somewhere towards the bottom, and I'm not talking 20, I'm talking like 29th, 28th in pass block and run block. Like, I know I kind of talked about San Francisco's run defense and how great it was against the Seahawks today. The Niners, outside of 5 runs for Brock Purdy, which in itself is too much, 31 rushing attempts. 31, 102 yards. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, besides 4 runs from quarterbacks and tight end, they had 22 runs for, I don't know, roughly like 70 yards. Like, these teams were on par running the football. And the other team had Kenneth Walker, who was fine, not great, and Zach Charbonnet, who I like a lot. But you have Christian McCaffrey. You have Brian Robinson, which, going back to Christian McCaffrey for a second, how awesome was it to see Brian Robinson out there? For once, they are utilizing a 2 running back system. How awesome was that to see? Now, I think it was too much Christian McCaffrey, albeit in this game, I don't mind it, but Brian Robinson out there, he's out there a lot. 9 carries, 11 targets, or 2 targets on the passing game, 1 reception. Like, it was nice to see them utilize Brian Robinson to spell Christian McCaffrey a lot. I think they were actually pretty smart in CMC's usage, but it would help if Christian McCaffrey, who, if you want to run 22 times, had lanes to run around. And for Brian Robinson, who I don't think was bad in this game, but wasn't great either. He had a few plays he fought for extra yardage, which was awesome to see. But it just, no matter how good your running backs are, no matter how good, unless you're Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, but even Saquon didn't explode until he went to Philadelphia. And look, Barkley's always been great, but what helps him grow into an offensive player of the year is Philadelphia's offensive line being so freaking good. The Ravens' offensive line is also good. You cannot run the football. Run this scheme if your offensive line is not good. It wasn't good last year. You didn't change it. You didn't fix it. It may have gotten worse for all we know. And today it showed in a big way. Moving along for a second, I do want to remind you guys kindly, I know I'm complaining a lot, so I want to stop complaining because San Francisco won. And when San Francisco wins, you also win too. San Francisco travels to New Orleans week 2, 10 a.m. against the Saints on Sunday. Then they're back home, season opener at Levi Stadium, home opener against the Cardinals. If you want to attend either one of those games, either via traveling to the Bayou in New Orleans or at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, go ahead and use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERS, ACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek is the best and number 1 ranked ticketing app in the country. It is easy to use. It is where you can find the best deals on tickets, either last minute or weeks ahead. I love SeatGeek. I hope you can love SeatGeek too with the promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERS, ACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your purchase and hopefully supporting the 1-0 San Francisco 49ers either next Sunday against the Saints or maybe a 2-0 San Francisco 49ers team in the home opener against the NFC West rival Arizona Cardinals. Click that link down below or go to SeatGeek.com, find your tickets, and when you check out, use promo code 49ers Access. Okay, we've gone through the offensive line. We've gone through the special teams disastrous plays because there's a lot. However, we have not yet reached the offense. And the offense for San Francisco as a whole, to me, is a big mixed bag. And we've hit on Christian McCaffrey, who I think was great in this game. Much needed addition to the offense. However, when you lose George Kittle, that stinks. It's going to hinder your offense into how well they can move the football. And Kittle has just dominated the Seahawks in previous years. He was a big X factor coming into the game. this team, I do think, felt the absence of him on the ground in the running game, in the passing game, and as a receiving threat. There's a reason why that first drive went extremely well. Christian McCaffrey only had 9 yards in that first drive. It was Kittle's 3 receptions, 24 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, there was a roughing the passer, which you can't hit your quarterback's head, but Kittle opens up so much for them. It just allows them to beat opposing defenses on all 3 levels because you have Pearsall hopefully going deep, you have Jennings in the middle, and Kittle doing his own thing. So, and then you have CMC in the kind of shallow area in the flat. Like, it just helps you win at all 3 levels for your offense. But you lose Kittle, your backup tight end is not a receiving threat, Luke Farrell, which is fine. You don't need to have that guy be that. But as we saw, Jake Tonges is a hero in this game. But I think there's 2 large takeaways for me on offense. And I think the first one, the positive one, is how great was Ricky Pearsall. I feel vindicated. I feel like people last year were, why'd you pick a receiver in the first round? Really, Ricky Pearsall in the first round? Really? Skinny white dude with tattoos? Oh, look, now he got shot. Really? First round. This guy stinks. And I was sitting back like, you guys don't even know who this dude is. He's a dog. We love Slick Rick on the show. Big fan of Slick Rick. If you listened to the podcast last year during the draft process, you'll know. Slick Rick was my dude on the show. Didn't think first round draft pick, but I was saying second round for sure. And pick 31, pick 34, it's right there. I love Ricky Pearsall, and we've heard throughout the entire offseason, we've seen it in person at times in the preseason, Purdy and Pearsall, how is it going to look? They, like the preseason game, like everything we've heard, lived up to the hype, lockstep. There was a portion of the game in which the offense wasn't moving the football. Pearsall wasn't involved. That is nothing new for a Kyle Shanahan offense. There was a lull in this game. This was not a Colts versus Dolphins where the Colts are just scoring on every single drive. Also, what the heck was Daniel Jones and how bad is Tua Tagovailoa? My God, worst quarterback in football? I may have to update that tier list 1 game into the season. Anyways, Pearsall was awesome. The double move to beat Rick Woolen on the final offensive drive of the game, just gone. He burnt him a couple times in the game with Woolen guarding him. Ricky Pearsall was awesome in this game. A big double move late in the game, obviously 4 receptions, 108 yards, 27 yards per reception, a 45-yard catch, again, on that last drive for the offense. I thought that Pearsall was just almost perfect. He wasn't perfect, almost perfect. Almost also caught a touchdown pass from Purdy, but we'll get into Purdy a little bit later, very soon. But I think that Pearsall, for a 100-yard performance today, I don't know if he'll reach 1,000 yards this year, but I want to see his targets go up. And I think when they can get Robinson back, and barring the health of Jennings and Kittle, Pearsall is in for a big year. And we've known that. Like, I've said that plenty of times. You've heard others say it. Like, Pearsall, he's for real. His skill set translates to the NFL. And while beating Rick Woolen and this defense, like, is it a top 5 defense? I think it's top 12, which is not bad at all, and maybe top 10 by the end of the year. This is not a bad defense at all. This is actually a fairly good defense. It is in the above 15 or 16th team tier in football, and more so closer to 10 than they are 16. So I thought it was a great day from him. The routes are crisp. The in routes are crisp. Even on that first drive of the game for San Francisco, which kind of seemed like the Pearsall sandwich of like really great, not much in between, really good towards the end for Pearsall. Going back to the top of the game, like 25-yard catch over the middle to Pearsall. He had 2 receptions for 29 yards on that first drive, and a big 45-yarder later. Like, just You love when your quarterback, who made a lot of mistakes in this game and overall was not great, and you can tell, like, this is, you kind of felt like it was last year where Purdy's trying to do too much, trying to play hero ball, and it got him in trouble with the second pick. However, you look, despite the interceptions, despite the mistakes he made in this game, you love the fact that late in the game, this is it. San Francisco was setting that final drive up offensively to be the final drive of the game. They took a shot, and Purdy, unafraid, puts it right on the money to Pearsall. Pearsall beats Woolen with ease, which Woolen isn't a great cornerback, and Pearsall, like a good receiver should, took advantage of that. Love to see it. I thought Pearsall was tremendous. Like, he deserves somewhat of a game ball. He set things up to end this game with the win. And good on Purdy putting it on him. You know, those are plays where previous quarterbacks here wouldn't do that, and Purdy has been known to do those things late in games. He's always looking for the win, for big plays, and sometimes it works as the Pearsall play comes into account, but sometimes it's not great. I thought Pearsall, you know, it's funny bringing up Pearsall before Purdy, because on Purdy's second INT, where I think he was targeting Pearsall, and he not open, like, not double covered, maybe not even triple covered. We're inching closer to quadruple covered. He not open by any means. Terrible decision. Just like, you cannot do that if you're Brock Purdy. This game is close. You're giving the opposing defense, or I guess in this case, the offense, the football around, half, around midfield. You can't do that. Shanahan in his post-game press conference almost blamed Pearsall for the INT, and his reasoning was, in a roundabout way, Pearsall should have caused an OPI, an offensive pass interference, instead of the ball getting picked. And I was like, okay, like, yes, inherently you're not wrong. You'd want your receiver to play some defense. Okay, fine. Julio Jones was great at that. I get that. Like, you want Pearsall to be, more aggressive, pull the DB down if you have to, just get the OPI, move you back, and have more plays to play with, right? Have more downs to figure things out with. However, I am not going to sugarcoat my opinion on Brock Purdy, as I never have, but I've seen a lot of forgiveness because of how the game ended. And while, yes, winning is more important than anything, a win is a win. If you win 1-0, if you win 2-0, if you win, 0 to -1, you win. That's all that matters. You won your first game. You're 1-0. You are a half of the league that is undefeated. You also beat the Seahawks. They're 0-1 now in the division. You're 1-0 in the NFC West. All that matters. The ending of the game was just, I was losing my mind. Like, I'm here in my studio with the TV on, and I'm gearing up to go live on the radio, 95.7 The Game, overtime, me and Mark Grandy. And I'm pulling the cords out, getting it all set up, and I'm watching the game, and I'm, doing things during timeouts and trying to get it, all figured out. And, I'm glued to my seat. Like, I can't get things moved around. I can't touch nothing. I got to make sure that, like, this game is, you don't want to leave. You don't want to piss. You don't want to crap. You don't want to eat food. Every snap there's action, and anything can happen. And the last drive for San Francisco's offense was awesome. That ball to Jake Tonges in the corner was we don't have a chance in hell this is going to work out. We're going to try it anyways. It was not meant to work out that way. Purdy gets, Trent Williams gets bull rushed. He's falling back into Purdy and trying to stumble to stay up. Purdy's like, oh my God, don't do that. Like, I'm about to get sacked because you can't take on the bull rush and your anchor wasn't great there. He stays up. He kind of was like, what do I do now? Runs to his right. He's pointing. He's moving guys around. He's trying to stay alive. He's pump faking Seahawks defenders. He's kind of maneuvering around the defense and the offensive line, trying to figure out where to go. He just says, why not? Bloop, tosses it up. Like Pearsall, Tonges beats Woolen, mosses him in front of him, gets the ball down, touchdown, awesome. the ending of the game was tremendous. You cannot erase the fact as to how the game ended because you won. Brock Purdy, as a $53 million quarterback, is 1-0. That's a great place to be. 2 thumbs up. You got the win. That is the most important outcome of the game. However, a lot of the other stuff is not good. I don't think was Brock's overall game bad? I don't think so. I think it was a mixed bag of some really good things, some playmaking. Brock's legs were a big factor, like I said they would be on the Krug show. Picking a pickle, if you know what I mean. Anyways, I thought Purdy, that touchdown throw to Kittle was awesome. Get you on the board early. However, the awkward jump throw in the first half, I don't think that was the plan. Like, what are you, Tim Tebow 2008 for the Florida Gators in the playoffs against Oklahoma? No, don't do that. Don't do that ever. And that almost wasn't great. He almost threw 2 picks early in the game, which, okay, it's early. You can bounce back, but don't beat Jimmy Garoppolo. Please. Anyways, then later in the game, San Francisco has the football. The game's obviously up for grabs. It was the entire time. But you look at the Niners and, you're kind of sitting here and like you're missing field goals and, you start to realize what this game is becoming. It's quickly becoming, last guy to score wins, which is exactly what happened. It is becoming a fight to the finish. It is becoming which one of you can, make the least amount of mistakes and still win. And thankfully, the Seahawks fumbled 3 times. San Francisco threw 2 picks. Albeit one of the fumbles I don't think was recovered by San Francisco. It puts a bad taste in your mouth. And it really, really does for me. When your quarterback is paid $53 million a year and he performs like this. Now, the box score won't be terrible for Purdy. He was 26 for 35, too many passing attempts, in my opinion, for this offense, but it makes sense for the context of the game. 277 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 1 sack, hit an 80.4 QBR. That's actually really good. And a 92.2 rating. He had 5 scrambles for 17 yards. Again, there was a lot of great things from Brock Purdy today. However, the Seahawks just made a field goal after you just missed a field goal. Okay? So this game is 10-7. You're down. Okay? You get the ball. You have a big check down where CMC gets a 30-yard reception. He gets pinballed around the Seahawks defense and gets kind of thrust forward for 30 yards. Big play. Run by Robinson. Then you get a complete pass to Jennings. Then you get a first down conversion by Pierce or by Christian McCaffrey. You are on, very clearly on the Seattle Seahawks side of the football field. What does Purdy do? Forces a pass. He doesn't need to force whatsoever. Gets picked off. Okay, not great. It's 10-7. That's a blow. Your offense, which was moving the football all game. The Niners offense was in the red zone 5 different times. Only scored twice. You stalled. Now, some of that's because you want to drain clock, and we can get into college clock management because it's still not great. But anyways, you throw 1 pick. Okay, not great. However, your defense, like it did the entire game, gets a 3 and out. Okay. Then your offense moves all the way down the field. You're in the red zone. 1st and 10 run, offsetting penalty, gets 3rd and 2. Jennings slips on a deep shot down the right sideline. Your field goal gets blocked. It's still 10-7. 10-7. Seahawks get the ball back. They then fumble because Samuel Kawanu runs down. I think it was Zach Charbonnet, or maybe it was JSN. I'm not sure. Runs down the ball carrier. Sigle recovers it in a great debut from the rookie out of Kansas State. Okay, then you get the field goal. It's 10-10. We're breathing. We're like, okay, look, this is not great. This is not great. But even on that drive, in which your field goal gets blocked, their field goal gets made, you throw a pick, you get a fumble recovery, you march all the way downfield. It's 10-7. This, I think, could have been, it wasn't, but it could have been a very different outcome earlier in the game. It really would have changed where the seating was. It would have been San Francisco with the football late in the game, trying to bleed the clock because they're winning in their head. Because there's an out route to Pearsall on the right pylon, towards the right sideline. That ball is snapped. It's almost the same play in which they got Kittle for a touchdown early in the game. It's almost the exact same play in which Purdy, from the left hash mark, hit Kittle for a freaking dot on the right pylon in last year's game in Seattle in Thursday Night Football. Like, we've seen Purdy make this throw plenty of times. However, that ball is hiked. When it's snapped on 2nd and goal, Purdy, I think, could have zipped that ball in more, but he doesn't like balloon it over. He doesn't like loft it in the air, but it has some loft to it. He's late on the timing, and what happens? Woolen gets the PBU. Now, it's a small play. It's a play that, in retrospect, because you won, doesn't matter. However, well, knowing Purdy doesn't have the arm strength of a Josh Allen or a Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers in his prime, I get that. Timing on this needs to get better. When you're paid $53 million, despite the win, these are throws you are expected to make, whether you can do it or not, although it's unfair. We've seen Purdy make this throw. That ball needs to be out before Pearsall even reaches the end of his route to cut, out of his break. That ball needs to be on him the minute his head turns around. I don't care, Woolen is 6'4" and has an insane length. That ball needs to get there. And I'm not trying to be unrealistic. I don't want to over critique Brock Purdy. They won. I like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's a darn good quarterback in my eyes. There was grit today. The last drive, he was perfect. Perfect on it. You wouldn't have needed that last drive had you not thrown this ball late to Pearsall. Probably would have been a touchdown pass, but also it is compounded by you don't make this throw, which you should have made because you had separation with Pearsall open, had the timing better on the throw. You get a field goal, 10-10. Okay, 10-10. Then you get a 3-and-out by Seattle. You had momentum. The defense comes up big. Bosa on the first play sniffs out the screen, gets a big TFL. Then Bernardo Green may have had one of the plays of the game. Deep ball down towards the left sideline. Just a perfect throw by Sam Darnold. JSN goes up. Green goes up. They're locked up together. JSN has the ball in his hands. Green coming down on the ground on top of him, essentially, pulls the ball out and saves would have been a 35-yard completion and may have kind of condemned San Francisco to a loss or led to a touchdown for Seattle. The next play, Seattle tries a stupid hook and ladder. You aren't the Chiefs. Calm down. You get a punt, though. Okay? You have momentum. You've gotten a stop. You've gotten a field goal. Got another stop. The game is tied. This is where you want your $53 million man to come through. This is where you think, okay, Purdy, here we go. Like, you don't have to rush it. You have plenty of time. You have 8 minutes on the clock, 9 minutes on the clock. You get a nice PA completion to Kyle Juszczyk. And then Trent gets called back for holding, which isn't great, but it's 2nd and 13. 2nd and 13 isn't the most manageable situation, but again, knowing that, don't make a pivotal mistake, right? Like, keep the ball in front of you. Compose yourself. You can still win the game. Or if you're not going to score a touchdown here, at least don't give Seattle the football at midfield. And what does Brock Purdy do? What does Purdy do? 2nd and 13, quadruple coverage, triple coverage. He's looking over the offensive line like, hey guys, I can't see anything. Ah! Throws it up. The guy isn't open by any means. It's like, there's just no way. This is the Pearsall pick where Shanahan was like, I'd like him to get an offensive pass interference, or just don't have your quarterback do a throw like that. Terrible decision. Terrible throw. You can live to fight another day. And this was Brock Purdy of last year. This was Brock Purdy of, I don't have Kittle. I don't have Juwan Jennings. I don't have Brandon Ayuk. I don't have Demarcus Robinson. My offensive line sucks. I have to win the game here. I have to make the most insane play right now. When Purdy himself has said, I need to get back to playing in the offense. Now, it's harder to play in the offense when the outside factors, like the offensive line being terrible, isn't working in your favor. I get that. But we have seen other quarterbacks that have terrible offensive lines, like Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and go to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not comparing Purdy to Burrow. I'm not saying the expectation should be this team goes to the Super Bowl. The expectation should be my quarterback either one, doesn't make a dumb decision, and two, throws the ball away or scrambles like you had before. How about a 3rd and 8? How about a 3rd and 10? Keep the play alive. Keep the drive alive. Don't force a throw. What does Purdy do? What does Purdy do? Throws the INT, quadruple coverage, whatever it was, gives the Seahawks the football at or near their own 45-yard line. They're at midfield already because Purdy makes a dumb throw. Just a terrible, just dookie for brain throw. Can't do it. What does Seattle do? Run, scramble, run. Dee Winters gets the stuff. It was awesome. Dee Winters was incredible in this game. Looked like Greg Greenlaw 2.0. The pass coverage was great. The run defense was great. Looked so much better as a player. He was all over the place. TFL for days. Anyways, they get a completion to Kupp on 3rd and 7. It goes, and it's 4th and 1, which may have been 4th and inches. The Seahawks give you a break. They go for a field goal. They say, you know what? Our defense is playing really well. We'll take 3 and bank on this being our last chance to score. We'll try to find some separation. Their offense, their kicker sucks. The offensive line sucks. They don't have Jennings and Kittle. We can beat the Niners, right? That's their mindset. You get bailed out. You get bailed out of your $53 million quarterback making a bad play. That shouldn't happen. You're like, yes, mistakes happen. Mistakes are made. As they used to say on Call of Duty back in Modern Warfare 2 days in 2007. Mistakes were made, man. However, you got lucky. The Seahawks didn't go for a first down. And if they got that, this game is 17-10. And you got to march all the way downfield like you did. And you know what they're doing? They're playing prevent defense. Nothing over the top. We're going to go down there and we're going to stuff you. Like, you're not getting a bomb over Rick Woolen. There's safeties back there for help. They're playing, quarters kind of off coverage. They're not playing press coverage. You're not getting the chance to hit that deep bomb. They got lucky. And I don't want to say it's all luck because there is some skill from Purdy hitting Pearsall deep. There's a lot of luck in finding Tonges in the end zone for a touchdown, but it does take skill. However, you got bailed out by the Seattle Seahawks not being aggressive. Then the next drive, San Francisco, deep shot to Pearsall. Tonges makes a great catch on 1st and 10. Then on 2nd and 8, back to Tonges, gets you a first down, catches it, kind of falls forward and kind of does a little worm up to for first down, makes the drive continue. The next play, run for CMC. The next play, a check down for CMC for 7 yards. And a 3rd and 2nd is the touchdown pass to Jake Tonges, in which Trent falls back into Purdy. Purdy scrambles to his right, evades pressure, throws it up in the back of the end zone, and Tonges comes down. Brock Purdy was In some aspects, really good. Playmaker, clutch, big time throw, a lot of good things. I thought for the most part in this game, Purdy had the offense moving, chugging along. But in games like this, NFC West, on the road, divisional game, it's tight. One mistake can be the end of it. He made the mistake. Not once, but twice. And the second one was worse than the first one. I know the Seahawks didn't deserve to win this game. They didn't. The defense played good, but the offense couldn't score anything. They weren't moving the football. And I'm okay with a defensive-led Niners team. That gives me more confidence that this defense will be a big reason they're in games and winning games, and it will make up for how bad the offense can be at times, knowing the holes they have with injuries and the offensive line not being good at all. But your quarterback, the most important player in the entire sport, the guy you just paid $53 million, yes, you love the late game heroics. You wouldn't need late game heroics if you weren't making really bad choices in a 13-10 game or a 10-10 game in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter. Again, I love Brock Purdy. Good dude. Good quarterback. Darn good quarterback. In my top 9, in my top 10 of my quarterback tier ranker. That's how much I like him and believe he can be great in the NFL. I think he can lead this team to greater heights than they've already been to. I think he's a Super Bowl caliber winning quarterback. Today, while, yes, impressive, winning on the road in Seattle is not something that we should just brush over. The late last drive should not be forgotten. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. However, Brock Purdy wasn't good in this game. I don't care what the stats say. I don't care what some reporters on the team may say. Brock Purdy removed the final drive, which you can't always do, but remove the final drive. Brock Purdy's day ends with 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown throw, and 1 final drive in desperation to win or tie the game up, which may or may not work. And I'm not like, you can't just take away drives. I get that. But the point is, the only reason you had that drive to win 17-13 is because Seattle didn't go for a first down. And I get it. Like, there are excuses as to why Purdy wasn't great today. Offensive line was terrible. I've said it plenty of times. You don't have your number one, I guess you do have your number 2 receiver, but you don't have 3 of your 4 top wide receivers, and you're all pro tight end. You don't have 4 of your 5 top receiving weapons. That's not going to be easy to overcome. He did that. The team did that. The defense really did that. Nick Bosa, strip sack on the goal line, did that. However, you are not going to win games. 1, with Jake Moody being your kicker. That's already established. But 2, the offensive line being terrible. And then 3, your quarterback making mistakes like this. I think Brock bounces back against the Saints, and hopefully it's week 1 jitters. How many times do you see week 1 teams come out flat? This team, though, this team cannot afford to waste weeks. This team can't afford to have Jake Moody as a field goal kicker missing kicks and PATs and whatnot. They can't have holdings on punts and near fumbles on punts. They can't have bad offensive line play. They can't have guys be injured. They can't have their star quarterback, the franchise guy, put the team in a deeper hole than they already are. Now, you can sometimes, like today, dig yourself out. But you can't do what you did. It deserves praise. It deserves guts. It deserves celebration as to how the game ended, to overcome the hole you dug yourself into. We want to know. It feels great. It's an escape. You beat the Seahawks in Seattle. Thank God. Thank God. However, it's not always going to end like this. When you play the Rams, when you play the Texans, when you play the Buccaneers, when at some point in time you play the Seahawks again, and if that game actually matters, you better hope you're playing better because you're not going to win the next time. And I think Brock can do this. I think Brock is awesome. I just wouldn't make it a habit of making mistakes early and hoping you can bounce back late. And that is the balance of being a hero. That is the balance of playing hero ball. We saw Brock Purdy last year trying to play hero ball. He had the cape on. The Superman logo on his chest. Oh, I have to do it myself. I'll run around left and right, and I'll make plays, and I'll force throws into tight windows, and sometimes those things work, and it's great. Sometimes they don't work, and you get picked off. Today was very much a mirror of the superhero mindset that Brock Purdy has kind of fallen into. I'm hoping that with and as the year goes by, that routine breaks. I'm hoping that last year he doesn't get caught in that, that mindset. He wants to break out of it. He said it himself. But there needs to be a fine line of I can be a hero when I'm asked to be, when I need to be, but not when I'm forcing myself to be one. Sometimes you got to be Clark Kent. Sometimes you got to be Bruce Wayne. Sometimes you don't need to be Superman. Sometimes you don't have to be Batman. And I get it. We all love Batman. I love Batman. I love Superman. Some scenes don't need those guys. Some scenes need a Clark Kent working in the story of the game, riding along with the scene, flowing in the offense. And that's tough when guys are out, but I just hope that Brock, like he said he wants to do, can get back to being Purdy of 2022. His words, not mine. Getting back in the offense, he likes his rookie tape more than any other season that he's had. Obviously, 2023 was a great year for him. That's probably his best year, if I may say. But I'm taken aback by how much people are forgetting the actual inner workings of the game because of the last drive. Twitter has forgotten the 2 picks and some late time throws that could have been touchdowns because of how the game ended. And I think, yes, celebrate wins. Those things matter most. San Francisco 1-0, 17-13. You beat the Seahawks. Victory Monday tomorrow or today, whenever you're watching and listening. But I saw you threw 2 picks that were ugly and bad and terrible and could have cost you the game. Don't make it a habit of that. You're not always going to be you're not always going to be able to overcome those mistakes. A few more shout outs here. Kyle Juszczyk, a handful of nice plays, a 25-yard reception pass late in the game. Dee Winters was great. Nick Bosa was phenomenal. The only sack of the entire game, but he had 3 TFLs. He had 1 quarterback hit. He smacked the crap out of Darnold in this game. Fred Warner was great. Great run defense. He was sniffing out screens left and right. I thought Marquese Sigle was tremendous. A big fumble recovery in this game. I thought Bernardo Green, for the 1 bad reception he allowed, was having a really great game on the outside of the big PBU. I thought Upton Stout, for not being great, he got bailed out a lot. They were picking on Stout left and right with JSN and Cooper Kupp. And again, there were some plays he got bailed out. The 1 touchdown they got was because they got moved up because of penalty in the end zone, which, yes, was a DPI. I didn't love the call, but it certainly was one via the replay. However, I thought late in the game, had a nice PBU in the final drive of the game for the Seahawks offense. Hopefully he grows quickly. They need that. Kalia Davis, tremendous. A lot of TFLs, was a great run stuffer. And really just hoping to see more of young guys. Didn't see much of CJ West. Didn't see Alfred Collins a lot, which, if you watch the show, isn't much of a surprise. We called that one from a mile away, but do want to see these guys. And I think once they get their feet wet and they can kind of get back into the defense after being injured or not playing much, I do think we'll see them more, but this was not the game to play 4 rookies on defense as starters. So not shocked there. Luke Farrell had a big 4th down conversion catch in this game. He got hammered. He caught, turned, bang. So a lot to like. A win is a win. They made Sam Darnold look like he was an inefficient pumpkin. No turnovers on his end, but the defense came to play. Awesome to see. Praise goes to Robert Saleh, and San Francisco advances to 1-0 on the year. Wins are what matters. A wise man once said, stats are for losers. Wins and losses are all that matters. Tell me down below in the comments, what was your biggest strength and weakness you saw of the San Francisco 49ers? Was it Brock Purdy's game? Are you willing to forget what happened in between because the ending was so great? Or are you like me of like, Brock really wasn't that great in this game. Yeah, the ending was awesome, but to get there, acts 1 and 2 weren't really living up to par. What'd you make of Christian McCaffrey's return, and how about Robert Saleh's return on defense? Tell me your takeaways of this win by the San Francisco 49ers down below. Hopefully you guys can like, share, and subscribe on the audio podcasting platforms. Leave us that 5-star review and follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. Niners win 17-13. It's a great day to be a San Francisco 49er fan. 1-0 on the new year, and there's nothing better than that. Undefeated. Enjoy it while you can. It may not have been pretty, but sometimes you have to lose ugly now, early in the year, to win pretty later. Hopefully that's the case for San Francisco, but drop those comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe to the show. And as always, my name is Sterling Bennett, and until next time, stay faithful.